Is your sunscreen keeping you safe? A new Consumer Reports investigation out this morning looks at 65 sunscreen lotion sprays and sticks. They all claim to have an SPF of at least 30. That's the minimum level recommended by the American Academy of Dermatology. Consumer Reports tested these claims and found 43% were not as effective as advertised. And that could leave you vulnerable to sunburn, wrinkles, and skin cancer. Trisha Calvo is Consumer Reports Deputy Content Editor and Health and Food. Trisha, good morning.
Good morning.
I love this study. So much information. First, you found 40% of the products you tested failed to meet their SPF claims. So how did you test these sunscreens?
So SPF is it's protection from UVB rays, which are the kind that cause sunburns. So people get sunscreen applied to their backs, then they sit in a tub of water for the amount of time the sunscreen claims to be water resistant. Then those areas are exposed to UV light. They come back the next day and they're examined for redness.
You first tested the effectiveness of Banana Boat Kids and the CBS Kids Sun Lotion. What did you find?
Right. Well, we found that these products claim to be an SPF 50, but in our tests, they were an SPF of 8.
Of 8?
Yes.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What did you do, Trish? That's a big difference.
Well, yes, it's a big difference. And what's interesting about those sunscreens is that they are the ones that contain titanium dioxide and zinc oxide as the active ingredients. Those mineral-based sunscreens overall in our tests didn't perform as well as the ones with chemicals like avobenzone.
I always thought you should get the highest SPF. Is that just not true?
Well, there's a very little difference between the protection that you get from a SPF 50 and an SPF of 100. So you really don't need to go that high. But in our tests, we found that if you choose a chemical sunscreen with an SPF of 40 or higher, you have a greater chance of getting at least an SPF 30.
So if I'm going out in the sun, what should I do?
You should put sunscreen on 15 minutes before you go outside, and then you should reapply the sunscreen every 2 hours, no matter what sunscreen you're using.
And what should be SPF? It should be what?
We would say at least an SPF of 30, but we would recommend a chemical sunscreen with an SPF of at least 40 for your best chance of getting an SPF of 30.
And what's the best brand?
The best brand in our tests for lotion was La Roche-Posay Anthelios SPF 60. And we also had a Pure Sun Defense that did very well. Those are lotions. The sprays, Trader Joe's SPF 50 and Banana Boat Sun Comfort Continuous Spray SPF 50. Those were the 4 highest rated in our test.
Are sprays better than lotions or lotions better than sprays?
You have to be careful with sprays because you can inhale them and it's also hard to get complete coverage. And using sunscreen correctly is really important. You don't get the protection if you don't use the sunscreen, if you don't use enough, if you don't reapply often enough. So the sprays you can potentially inhale, and Consumer Reports doesn't recommend using sprays on children for that reason.
We want to go back to Banana Boat and CVS because they gave us a comment and they said that their safety testing met FDA requirements, that they stand behind their products' effectiveness. So that's their point of view. Also want to get you on Shiseido. Yeah. That's what I use. Think it's absolutely the best sunscreen, and I've tried them all because I have 3 kids. So I bought many sunscreens. They advertise that its Wet Force Ultimate Sun Protection Lotion becomes more effective when it gets wet, but you said that doesn't live up to its promise.
Right. We tested it on people's dry skin, and then we tested it after they had been in the water for the amount of time Shiseido claims that it takes to activate their technology, and we found no difference in the SPF performance. But I have to say that the sunscreen met its SPF claim, and it provided excellent UVB protection.
All of those things, and Shiseido says there were significant flaws in the methodology that Consumer Reports used.
Well, as with all of our products, we do our own scientific lab-based testing, and it's not a compliance test.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you, Trisha.
I use it on my face.
And it's working.
Thank you very much.
And it is working.
Thank you, Trisha.
I have a constant tan, so I feel really good all the time. Thank you very much.